I mentioned. Now producing a product late, right? Or sending a damaged product. These are all failures. So now failure can be internal, failure can be external. When I say internal, a failure should be detected within the company. If you don't detect the failure internally and someone outside of your organization detects the failure, that will be considered an external failure. That will be considered an external failure. Anyway, both are failure. The cost associated with both of them are, poor quality cost. And now tell me, when there are two types of failure, internal and external failure, which is dangerous or which is more costlier?
External.
External.
This is why we need to be proactive. You produce a product and send it to the client and then product fails. And now customer will simply make a call and then relax. Now everything you have to take care. The product is under warranty. You have to send your serviceman first to diagnose the problem. Then he will go with the spares. Then probably he understand it cannot be repaired. And then now he replace the product. And by the time you do all the service, it took about 10-15 days. And now customer will be little, far more frustrated. Probably you have to do some compensation for that to cool him. See how many consequences, isn't it? So if you do not recognize and detect an internal failure, you will be spending at least 10 times of the cost to correct an external failure, right? So so internal failures are like, in-process scrap, in-process rework, troubleshooting and repairing, design changes, additional inventory, re-inspection, and downgrading, and these are all internal failure. External failures are like sales returns, service agreement penalties. You have an agreement with your customer, but you don't comply to it, and so you pay penalty. These are all external failure. Probably next time they may not give business to you. And complaint handling, and then field service, like what we discussed. These are all external failure. And it can be direct, it can be indirect. What is direct and what is indirect? If you pay directly from your pocket, that is called direct cost. For example, just to discussion sake, I'm saying, for the training, all of you paid some money, am I right?
Right.
No, that is direct cost. Is it the only investment you're making to become a black belt?
No.
Much more, isn't it? Your
Yes.
time, which is more valuable than what you have paid, isn't it? So you have the responsibility to spend it wisely, isn't it? So this is indirect. There is a cost associated. Instead of spending 36 hours here, maybe if you work on a project somewhere, you might make several lakhs. All right. So we need to always understand whether you are calculating your loss or you are writing a business case, you should measure the direct loss as well as indirect loss. Direct benefit as well as indirect benefit, right? So that's why this comes here, indirect poor quality cost. Loss of productivity. Since you are handling so many rejections, you are not focusing on productive work. Your productivity is going down. Travel cost. Since product has failed in the field, now your executives are traveling. Your equipment is traveling. Repair cost, right? And then backup product. Since it is going to take 15 days, your customer cannot tolerate. So you have to give him a backup product, isn't it? Likewise. And also the customer will be frustrated and then negatively spread your brand. So word of mouth can further damage your brand. And then customer perception about your company, about your product will completely change. These are all what? Indirect poor quality cost. All of you are with me on this?
Yes.
Yes. The cost of poor quality you can identify from any domain. For example, software is crashing or there is a deadlock happening. Some software is giving an incorrect output. These are all certain cost of poor quality. Maybe you might be seeing in software industry. Similarly, in administration, disclosure of trade secrets, right? Your business secrets are leaked, and facilities have to be redesigned very frequently. You are overstaffing, you are understaffing. Your equipment is, most of the time, it is not available for productive work. Most of the time, it is idle or it is under repair. And these are all, how you can think of using Six Sigma or Lean in administration. You can use it in purchase, right? And like inventory, your premium freight, right? line down cost, and all of them are no or improvement opportunities. Similarly, in marketing, overstocking your product or losing a market share, incorrectly entering an order, and similarly in HR, absenteeism and your turnover, your employees turnover, and a lot of grievances, number of grievance coming every day is keep on increasing. So these are all definitely cost of poor quality. Hope all of you are able to understand the various forms of cost of poor quality. If anything is abnormal, or even if it is normal, it needs to be monitored, controlled, and improved. And so this can also be another improvement of area, right? So cost of poor quality, as we discussed, can be internal. Internal means the internal rejections, internal rework. For example, in the training program, can we tell me an internal failure in our program? What could be an internal failure?
Training not starting on time.
Wow, training. Yeah, training not starting on time, then customer comes to know about it. That's an external failure. All right. If we
Maybe
don't start the
testing,
training-
Not available on time.
maybe testing the internal software
Yes.
within the team, and it
Correct.
is not working.
All right. Let's say I give a mock exam. Some of you are not able to get through in the mock exam. And now this is a failure, but detected internally. Still, your final exam is pending, isn't it? But if you score low in the final exam, then your certificate might get delayed, and then you will realize that the problem has now become external, isn't it? So scrap, rework cost, productivity lost, and generating inaccurate reports, and your turnaround time is higher, or FTEs are higher, and these are all internal failures provided you detect it, right? If someone outside of the organization, outside of your department, or someone who is not in your team detects your failure, that will be external failure, right? So recently, product recall is the maybe a biggest form of worst form of external failure. Many companies go for recall. You might be knowing Ford has done recently in
Volkswagen.
yeah, and recently Royal Enfield also done it, and then in 2015 Maggie has recalled and then burnt all their products, 38,000 tons of Maggie packet. So these are all the result of launching a product with some defects in the market. We should not do that, right? So external failures could be more costlier and dangerous. So there are a lot of examples here. So generally we think cost of poor quality is 4 to 5% of our revenue. Generally people think, but the reality could be completely different. If you think the cost of poor quality is just 4%, 5%, 2%, you are only seeing the tip of the iceberg. But the iceberg is so big, you can see the remaining portion inside the water. Generally, we have the tendency to look at what is immediately visible. There are many things which are invisible in any organization, like how the bigger portion of the iceberg is hidden inside. Same way, many failures are hidden. Hope all of you agree with me, right? So the visible failures, this is what we talk about generally. Rejections, the warranty claims, repair, inspection, recall, this we talk about. What we don't talk about it, there are many things. But you will definitely talk about all these things after becoming a black belt, right? If there is anything you wanted to ask me from this list, I can quickly answer. Otherwise, these will be dealt with, right, as we progress. If you account these invisible problems also, you can understand 20 to 45% of your revenue is burnt in the form of cost of poor quality. So there is very important. Yeah.
So in the last slide,
Yes, please.
I'm dealing with the loss in overall equipment efficiency. How to deal with that? Like how?
Yeah, we will be discussing separately. But right now, OEE is a number, a metric. It's called overall equipment effectiveness. You need to understand the availability of your resource. You need to understand the performance of your resource. You need to understand the quality of your resource, right? You find out the availability percentage. You find out the performance rate or the performance percentage, then find out the quality. There are 3 index you require: availability index, performance index, and then quality index, right? So all 3, when you multiply, you get OEE. So we'll be discussing that. For every resource, we should calculate OEE, and then we should strive to keep the OEE in 90 to 100%. All right, this is something called cost alignment. Always there are different, like when I say there are cost of poor quality, the failure cost, some cost of good quality also exist. What is cost of good quality? Some forms of appraisal you need to do, without which you can't, otherwise you might fail to detect the failures internally. So appraisal is a cost which is categorized as good quality. Similarly, prevention, lot of prevention work you might be doing. So that is called a prevention cost. And then assurance cost, quality assurance, in order to, you will have some quality assurance programs, and then you will have some QMS programs and all those things. If you focus here, definitely your failure will come down. Am I right? If you focus, if you increase a little more here, your red zone can come down. That is what happened here. See here, when I slightly increase on my assurance and then prevention cost, my appraisal can also go down. My appraisal can also go down. I really don't have to do 100% inspection of everything, because I have taken care of the assurance and prevention part. So I do less inspection, but still control effectively. And then now my failures have become very thin. This is called cost alignment. And the thumb rule is 1, 10, 100. It simply means if you spend 1 rupee in prevention, you will be able to save 10 rupee in correction. You will also be able to save 100 rupee in failure. On the other hand, when I don't spend 1 rupee in prevention, how much I may lose in correction? 10 rupee. And then 100 rupee I may lose in failure, right? We can make the wise choice, and we need to spend effectively in prevention. So that is why we are aiming for